Hey everybody, this is Anthony's Horror and More, and today we're going to talk about Thor: Love and Thunder. Yep, I just watched this about a week ago. Really enjoyed it. So I wanted to make a video on it, talk about it, and talk about some of the negativity going around with this movie. And it's really interesting to me because, like I said, now I watched this a week ago for the first time. I did not see this in theaters. I did not see this on streaming. The first time I watched it was when I got this steelbook right here. I think the problem with some of these Marvel movies is honestly the hype, and this is a problem with a lot of movies. The hype just is just so insanely high for these movies, especially Marvel movies, that I think sometimes, and I'm not trying to say that this is the greatest movie ever or anything, I just think people go in with very high expectations because a lot of people love Thor Ragnarok. It was very popular. And the interesting thing to me is if you enjoyed Thor Ragnarok, I feel like you should really enjoy Thor Love and Thunder. I mean, because it's the same tone. It's the same, I know people were saying, oh, the story's not as good. It's all jokes. But Thor Ragnarok was a ton of jokes. It's Taika Waititi. I mean, Thor Ragnarok was a ton of jokes. I mean, and I'll be honest, when I first saw Thor Ragnarok, I wasn't in love with it because for me, the tones of the first two films, Thor and then Thor the Dark World, and then going into Thor Ragnarok, it just completely changed tones. The first two movies are very, they're way more serious. That was before Marvel kind of got into the, we got to have all the jokes and all of this and all the, you know what I mean? Kind of that formula. They were still in the, beginning stages of creating the universe. So, it was different. Those first two movies are very different. And then you get Thor Ragnarok, and the tone just shifts to this, very colorful palette, lots of jokes, lots of over-the-top action fight scenes, and just, that kind of witty dialogue and stuff. And it's not bad. That's not a knock or anything. I'm just saying the tones change. Especially Thor Dark World. I mean, that's a pretty dark movie. Dark World, dark movie. I mean, it really is. It's when you compare it to the rest of the Marvel universe, I would say so. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Thor the Dark World, but his mother dies, he thinks his brother dies, and it's just, that scene where Loki's sitting, in his cell, and then, he's making it look like he's fine, but then the illusion disappears, and there's fucking, just furniture thrown all over the place, and there's blood on his hands and stuff like that. You can tell he's just been through hell. He's pissed that his mom died. And I believe he was kind of the cause of it, because he gave them the information, the Frost Giants, the information, or the Dark Elves, the information, I think, to get in, right? I think it was his fault. I think he did something that resulted in his mother's death. I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought it's been a while since I've seen that film. But either way, he was pissed because his mother was dead, and he was sitting in a cell. He couldn't do anything to stop it. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate Thor the Dark World like everyone else. I actually think it's an okay movie. I just don't think the problem with it is the villain's not developed at all, and the chemistry between Jane Foster and Thor, it just is non-existent. And that's where I'll give Thor Ragnarok, or Thor Love and Thunder, a ton of credit, because Taika Waititi and the writers did a phenomenal job of actually making me care for their relationship. I finally was oh my god, yeah, it was Taika Waititi and 4 other writers. But I actually cared about their relationship, which I didn't care about at all in Thor or Thor the Dark World. So I got to give Taika a lot of credit there, and the other writers. You know, I actually cared about that. I was like, oh man, I actually felt for Jane Foster, and you know, spoilers, for this movie as well. But like, she's fighting through cancer, and it's then Mjolnir gives her the power to, kind of transform herself into Thor, the mighty Thor, and it allows her to like stave off the cancer for a limited amount of time anyway. And I just thought that was really clever. I thought that was clever, and I believe that's also, I think that's accurate to the comics too. I could be wrong. I haven't read any of the Mighty Thor comics, but I think that might be somewhat accurate. But yeah, I just thought that was good, and it's so funny to me because, like I said, if you like Thor Ragnarok, it's weird that you don't like Thor: Love and Thunder because it's the same tone. Nothing has changed. It's a lot of jokes. It's a lot of over the top action. It's a very colorful palette. Everything's very color except for the scene that I have on where it transitions to black and white, which is a gorgeous scene. I love the way that was directed. That was phenomenal. But it's so weird that everybody's shitting on this Thor: Love and Thunder because they're calling it like some people are calling it woke. I'm like, this movie's not a woke movie. The wokest thing in there, I guess, if you want to nitpick, is the fact that they call her, king instead of queen or whatever. That's such a minor thing. Yeah, they call her King Valkyrie instead of Queen Valkyrie or whatever. But if you really wanted to, but other than that, I mean, I don't think Thor gets, and I'm the first one to call out woke bullshit in a movie. I'll call it out if I see it, but Thor was kicking ass and the ladies were all kicking ass, but I don't think the ladies were outshining Thor in any way. You know what I mean? And they weren't knocking him down or anything like that. I thought they all had good chemistry with each other. I thought it was fun. And then some people were bitching about like the editing of the movie because I guess that there's like a longer, like 4-hour cut or something, and they trimmed it down to 2 hours. That happens with a lot of movies, first of all. Most movies go way longer and then they edit them down. And then it's just a matter of how they edit them down, which becomes like an issue sometimes. But this movie, I thought all the transitions were pretty seamless. I didn't notice any weird editing at all. It didn't feel disjointed in any way. Because I heard people saying that. I'm like, at what point did it feel disjointed? Leave the comments down below if you thought there was a weird editing or if it was disjointed or if the story wasn't flowing well. I thought the story flowed very well from scene to scene. I don't get what people are bitching about with that. I really don't. And I look out for stuff like that too. I'm a big guy. Like I always look for like pacing and editing and stuff like that. I do notice that in a lot of film, but this one I didn't notice anything weird. It's so funny because I was watching this and I'm like, I don't get what everybody's complaining about. Like I don't get it. I mean, it's got fun action set pieces. You even get the Guardians in there for a little bit. I thought Christian Bale was an excellent villain. I wish he was in the movie more. I guess that's like a nitpick. I would have loved to have seen Christian Bale in this movie more, but I thought he was a great villain. He looks extremely menacing. I thought Valkyrie and the mighty Thor and all of them did a great job. I thought Korg was hilarious as always. Oh, I guess there was some of that. I mean, are people calling it woke because Valkyrie's gay and because Korg is gay? I mean, guys, I got news for you. People are gay in real life. I mean, I don't know what to fucking tell you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like it when they push an agenda down your throat. That's when things, get annoying for me. This movie's not pushing an agenda, though. Korg is just gay, and that's it. You know what I mean? He tells like a little story about his dad's or whatever meeting, but it's like, who cares? You know what I mean? Same thing with Valkyrie. It's like she's gay, but they don't even make a point to even mention it. Hardly. I think she like one girl kind of like gives her like a wink, like hey, you know what I mean? Like, but that was about it. I mean, there was really nothing in there that was like pushing any kind of agenda, I'm just trying to knock out all the points that people are, hitting this with. Like, I've heard people say the editing's bad. I've heard people say that it's woke. I've heard people say that this, it just doesn't, Thor Ragnarok's way better than this, because of X, Y, and Z. I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, I think this is right on. I guess Thor Ragnarok had the Hulk and the Hulk battle and all that stuff. That was fun. But as far as tone and the jokes and all that, it's the same. It's the same, guys. Go back and watch Thor Ragnarok into Love and Thunder. It's the same tone. It's the same jokes. It's the same. It's all that stuff. Great music. Love the music in this movie. Also love the music in Thor Ragnarok. The only thing I complain about with these Thor Ragnarok and this movie, not even so much this movie, really, Thor Ragnarok, is that when they killed off, spoilers for Thor Ragnarok, when they killed off the dad, Odin, yeah, it didn't feel like it meant much. There wasn't much weight behind it. And when they killed off all of his friends as well, the Warriors 3, it just didn't I didn't feel for it because it was just so out of nowhere, and they didn't put there was no build up to it, there was no, it just felt very and they kind of made fun of that. They kind of made fun of that in Thor Love and Thunder. So, hey, I can appreciate that because at least Taika, he realized that complaint. He saw people that were annoyed with that, and then he just kind of poked fun at it anyway. He's like, and remember when that guy died, and that guy, and that guy. It was funny, so I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? That's just his tone. And I'm not going to knock Taika Waititi for having his own tone. He took over. He wanted to do something different and original with it because the other two Thor movies weren't really hitting with people, and he did. And now at least people love Thor Ragnarok. People weren't as, high on this, but I say go watch it again. Watch Thor Ragnarok into this. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with people were complaining about what are they, goats? Yeah, those giant goats or whatever they were that were screaming the whole time. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it was, that was probably for the kids. It was just a funny, throwback joke, to what was that, the early 2000s when the goats yelling were really popular or whatever on YouTube, or the mid 2000s. I'm like, yeah, that was a funny little throwback. It didn't take me out of it. It didn't annoy me that much. I mean, I don't know, man. People, I think, just like complaining now about Marvel. I think it's just become I just take them for what they are. Yeah, I agree. I don't think Marvel's is quite as good as it was back in the Civil War, when Civil War was around, Winter Soldier, that phase of Marvel. But I think most of the movies have been good. I mean, they just don't feel like they're coming together as well. But they're still good movies. I mean, Spider-Man No Way Home was a really good movie. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was a really good movie. I thought Thor Love and Thunder was a pretty damn good movie. It was a fun time. I mean, you just don't overthink it. I love this steelbook, by the way. But yeah, I mean, I had a really good time with it. I don't know. Yeah, it's just funny. I just, people are just not, feeling Marvel right now. But I like the Eternals too, so I'm in that camp. You know what I mean? I like the Eternals as well. I thought Shang-Chi was pretty good. I thought Black Widow was okay. None of them have been the worst to me. They've all brought something to the table that I was like, okay, this is cool, But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think if I missed anything. All the acting was good, the directing was great, the music was great, the cinematography was great. Thor, God, dude, Chris Hemsworth is such a good Thor. He's so funny. He's got great comedic timing. I really love him as Thor. He's great. I hope he sticks around for at least another movie or two because he's just great. Oh, people were bitching about him talking to his axe. That was the other thing, talking to the axe and the hammer. Yeah, I guess that was a little silly. I agree, but once again, it's still. I know he didn't do that in Thor Ragnarok, so I get it. That goes more into Taika's being more playful and everything. But because of the tone of the movie, it just doesn't take me out. Because people were saying, it goes from, this super dark, ominous tone to, this really too funny, jokey joke tone. Yeah, I mean, whenever it goes to Christian Bale's scenes, it's more dark and ominous. And then when it goes back to, Thor and them, it lightens up. But I don't think it's, that extreme to where it was, jolting me out of the movie. I still thought it was fun. I think I'm just used to Taika Waititi's tones now, with like What We Do in the Shadows and like, the other movies and stuff that he's done with that, because he always does, even with like the Star Wars episodes he's directed, like there's always like those like that like funny, witty, like kind of dialogue, you know what I mean? I guess I'm just used to it. So, but overall, I really enjoyed Thor: Love and Thunder. I'd give it like a solid. I give it like a solid 7 out of 10. Yeah, I give it a 7 out of 10. I thought it was, a pretty good time. I didn't think it was anything like groundbreaking or anything like that, but I had a fun time. I really did. And maybe, like I said, maybe my expectations just weren't like through the roof like everybody else's. So, yeah, I had fun with it, guys. So yeah, please go check out Thor: Love and Thunder one more time. Give it another watch. Watch Thor Ragnarok into Thor: Love and Thunder, and I think you'll see what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? It's not like that crazy. Like, I think they transition really well into each other. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think down below. Please leave a comment, thumbs up the video, subscribe if you haven't, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.